Hi, my name is Brad. I'm an exercise physiologist with Specialised Health. Welcome to this video series working with an EP. And through this series, I'm aiming to bring some education and some information about what it is that an EP does and how you might be able to use their treatment to move long-standing or difficult rehabilitation cases forward. Now, these videos are going to be uploaded via our website specialisedhealth.com.au, and you can also access them on our YouTube channel, which will be under Specialised Health, and keep an eye out for the updates on LinkedIn and Facebook. Feel free to leave comments, get in touch with us, and discuss any of the topics that we cover. So to explain exercise physiology as briefly as possible, essentially it's utilising exercise as a treatment modality to improve the quality of life, however that may be. So whether that's working in cardiac rehab, stroke rehab, spinal cord, brain injury, musculoskeletal rehab, it's using exercise and active movements to improve strength, improve capacity, and generally speaking, improve quality of life. Okay, so this question can have a bunch of different answers given the nature of the work that EPs perform and the variety of settings that they work in. What I'm trying to achieve though through this video series is to empower you guys to make the decisions about when to refer to an EP, not based on purely when a patient meets certain criteria through their rehab process, but more so on what the overall rehab process requires in terms of capacity, evidence, performance, being in the various settings of a home, workplace, community, whatever it may be, and using the EP and their various skill sets to match those requirements. So it's more about tailoring what the EP does to suit the requirements of the goals. But in saying all of that, I'm going to give you the best definition I can about when to use an EP or when to refer to an EP. So essentially an EP's focus in rehabilitation is on active treatment. So to explain this notion, while the lines vary a little, or they blur a little in terms of active versus passive treatment, generally a physiotherapist works on passive treatment. So they'll move the joints, limbs through their range of motion and perform the movements for the client when they don't have capacity to do so. A ex-phys will perform active movements or prescribe active movements, so the patient or the client is actually performing these movements for themselves. So generally there's going to be a bit more functional in nature. So when referring for an EP, they more often than not need to have capacity to perform active movements, and they require functional training or movement retraining, re-strengthening, etc. Okay, so in order to make the results of the EP program as useful as possible, the information that's provided and discussed at the time of the referral is going to be vitally important. And the EP needs to be aware of the overall goals of the program, obviously. So are we aiming for a return to PIDs at the same job at a different employer? Are we aiming for a return to independence in the community, independence throughout the home, mobility? What are the overall goals of the program? Not only that, what are the individual tasks or duties that are needed to be achieved along the way so that we can create a stepping stone process towards that goal? So where are the functional gaps at the moment with the client's abilities? So are they able to lift at bench height and transfer at bench height, but they can't lift from the floor, and that's needed in their job, or that's needed to get pots and pans out of the cupboards down low? So what are the overall goals of the program, and what are the individual specific tasks along the way? So that can be via discussion, so the OT or the RP discussing that with the EP at the time of the referral. It can be simply providing the workplace assessment report along with the return to work plan, the ADL upgrading plan, or the community living plan. So giving the EP this information and having a discussion with them about, look, this is where they're at the moment, this is where I need them to be. So in terms of their injury and the expected timeframes of recovery, how are we going to meet that overall goal? How are we going to structure this program to get there? So discussing that information at the time of the referral, it's going to make the results of the program much more specific and much more useful for everybody throughout.